three waterfalls collectively known as Niagara Falls are located at the southern end of Niagara Gorge and form the border between the Canadian province of Ontario and the American state of New York. Horseshoe Falls, which crosses the international border between the two nations, is the greatest of the three. Within the country are the lesser American Falls and Bridal Falls. With both islands located in New York, Bridal Falls is separated from Horseshoe Falls by Goat Island and from American Falls by Luna Island. The combined falls, which are created by the Niagara River, which drains Lake Erie into Lake Ontario, have the highest flow rate of any waterfall in North America with a vertical drop of more than 50 meters or 160 feet. More than 168,000 cubic meters, or 6 million cubic feet, of water flow over the crest of the falls per minute during the busiest daytime tourist hours. According to flow rate, Horseshoe Falls is the most powerful waterfall in North America. Famous for its beauty, Niagara Falls is a significant hydroelectric power source. The administrators of the falls have struggled to balance recreational, economic, and industrial uses since the 19th century. At the end of the Wisconsin glaciation, also known as the Last Ice Age, water from the newly formed Great Lakes cut a path over and through the Niagara Escarpment on its way to the Atlantic Ocean. This is how Niagara Falls came to be. About 10,000 years ago, the Wisconsin glacial produced the characteristics that would become Niagara Falls. As the ice sheet retreated, it left behind a sizable amount of meltwater that filled the glacier-carved basins and eventually gave rise to the modern Great Lakes. In the general area where the current Welland Canal is located, scientists believe there once was a valley called St. David's Buried Gorge that was covered by glacial drift. The upper Great Lakes drained into the Niagara River after the ice melted, which followed the Niagara Escarpment's altered topography. Over time, the river carved a gorge through the Custa, or rock facing north. The three main rock formations interacted with one another, causing the rocky bed to not erode uniformly. The Niagara Falls were between Lewiston, New York, and present-day Queenston, Ontario, around 10,900 years ago, but erosion of the crest led the falls to retreat about 6.8 miles or 10.9 kilometers southward. Through the process of erosion, Horseshoe Falls' shape has altered, going from a modest arch to a horseshoe bend to its current V-shape. Numerous names have been put out as the first witnesses to describe Niagara Falls in Europe. During his voyage of Canada in 1604, the Frenchman Samuel de Champlain visited the region. While there, locals told him about the area's magnificent waterfalls, which he later wrote about in his notebooks. Father Louis Hennepin, a Belgian missionary, is credited with writing the first account of the falls in 1677. And now here are some interesting facts that you might not know. In Niagara Falls, in 1885, Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse built the first hydroelectric power plant ever. The falls can now produce 4 million kilowatts of electricity, which is enough to supply more than a quarter of Ontario and New York State combined. Niagara Falls is not owned by any nation, despite the fact that it is located between the U.S. and Canada. The three waterfalls are split between the two nations by the border. American and Bridal Falls are on the American side, while Horseshoe Falls is on the Canadian side. There are numerous amazing historical sites in Niagara Falls. Old Fort Niagara, which has a vintage American flag, is one example. During the War of 1812, British forces took control of it. The Flight of Five Locks is another significant area where locks are found on the Erie Canal, a boat lifting and lowering device that was created in 1815 and is still in use today. Visitors can also see several other exhibitions regarding local American tradition and culture in addition to that famous flag. These include buildings from each era as well as an exhibition on the Underground Railroad that tells the stories of slaves who utilized hidden routes to escape their master's control before arriving in Lewiston. That was all for now. If you want more videos like this, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment for more topics.